the sly guy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of the weekly podcast. We can call it a phenomenon now. We can call it a phenomenon, the Sly Guy podcast. And why can we call it a phenomenon? Because loads of people are listening now. I don't know what has happened, where all these new people are listening from. Bizarrely enough, Qatar was a place that's appeared that hasn't appeared before. So I don't know whether there's just a lot of people out there have heard me dissing the World Cup a couple of weeks ago or whatever, but respect to the Qatari nation. If you want to sponsor the podcast, much love. Looking forward to the World Cup out there. But we're back, we're enjoying it, and we're warm. I don't know, does this come across on the camera, Ben, that I'm very red right now? I'm shiny. It's this room in and of itself is warm. Alright, it's a warm room, and it definitely needs aircon. You know, I'll speak to the landlord about that because I'm shining, which is not good for my confidence, by the way, as a producer of the podcast, to tell me I'm shiny. Just sit red would have done, but shiny is a problem. But yeah, I just want to take a minute. I know I'm very, a lot of people have said facetious and a lot of people have said insincere, but I want to be serious for a moment. I want to be genuine, and I want to say thank you to everybody that's got on board with the podcast in the last number of weeks, and also thanks to the people who share the podcast with people. The people that say, listen, check this guy out, very funny, very enjoyable podcast. It's just one guy in a room with another guy who can't quite hear what he's saying because we need to keep building this podcast so we can afford to buy him a mic. That's basically where we're at the minute. But Ben, we will get you a microphone, we'll get you mic'd up, and then one day maybe people will be able to hear what you see, and then or hear what you see, hear what you say.
Thank you.
And very soon people will realise that they don't want to listen to him and they just want me by myself. But we would like to have that option. So thank you for that. And again, if people keep spreading the word of the show by mouth. I just have lost the ability to speak. I don't know if you realised that there. I was saying the wrong words. Maybe I'm having a bit of a stroke. I mean, that would be good for a video, wouldn't it? That would be great content. It would go viral. Podcaster has stroke live on air, even though this is not live, it's pre-recorded, so there'd have to be stringent edits being done by Ben, so Ben would have to watch me having a stroke over and over again and then post the video, which, by the way, Ben, a lot of people were enjoying the video you made of me. I don't know what it was I was doing or why I was doing this movement, but you did a lot of this and you made a dick of me and people liked it, so well done you.
Thank you.
Piece of shit. But yeah, I'm feeling nice this week. I'm actually, to be totally honest, exhausted today. Yesterday, believe it or not, I know some people think this podcast goes live as soon, like, I'm just waiting to speak whenever you pop your earphones in, but I record this on a Monday night, and yesterday I went to do a gig on Rathlin Island, which is hard to explain to anybody who hasn't been to Rathlin Island before, that a gig on Rathlin Island is 10 out of 10, always great, and yesterday was no exception. However, usually when we do gigs in Rathlin, we stay over, we get on the beer, we get really hammered. It's probably, like, people would argue this, but I'd say Rathlin is the number one party location in Europe. You know, people will be like, oh, what about Ibiza? What about Ayia Napa? I was like, Ayia Napa and Ibiza can stand up 69 each other and then get bombed by Rathlin because it's the best. Anytime I'm in Rathlin, great time. So we went out there and we were gigging during the day, which I don't really know why we did. I'm glad we did now for one reason, in that I got home to go to my bed. But for the second reason I'm not glad it happened was because getting hammered at Rathlin's great. But to get there for a day gig, I had to leave my house before 9 o'clock, and I wasn't back in my house until after 9 o'clock at night, which is not ideal. And I had to put in at night there because people would have been really confused, being like, I was like some sort of riddle. I left my house before 9 o'clock and I'm home in my house after 9 o'clock. It's like, remember when people were saying about Benzema's goal, or his goals? Did you see this fact, Ben? Karim Benzema, the French striker, scored 2 goals in a match at the Euros. It was against Portugal, wasn't it? It was against Portugal, and he scored both goals at 46 minutes and 44 seconds. Whoa, how does that happen? I hear you say. Well, he scored in the injury time of the first half, which was 46, and then right at the start of the second half, but that was unbelievable. I don't know if that's been done before, but my mind is blown, and that's kind of where we're at with that. So I left at 9 o'clock, got home after 9, very tired, didn't get to see much of my kids, Which, I mean, as much as I joke, I do like to see those wee fuckers for a little bit of the day. Maybe over an hour's excessive, but it's good to see them for a bit. So I thought, we'll go to Rathlin, do the long day. It's very tired. I didn't realise until I got home into my bed last night that I am severely sunburned. I thought, it was quite an overcast day. Didn't have any sun cream on. Thankfully, I was wearing a hat. Otherwise, my big bald bonds would have got it. But my face today feels, a really tight feeling you get when sunburn. It's just like it'll crack, and I feel like my ears are going to start flaking. But I mean, that was a small price to pay for what was a very enjoyable gig. It was a very enjoyable experience overall. It's the first gig that we've done in Rathlin whereby we had sound system there, which obviously, if you think about stand-up, you're like, you should probably have a microphone at all gigs, but not in Rathlin, baby. No, normally you're in the bar just standing there talking to people like you're a 16th century town crier or like you're a newsreader. That used to actually be a job. Did you know that? People used to actually travel around and read the news to people in the Wild West. They used to just go on horseback into bars and just be like, this is the news today, and people who couldn't read, would get the news read to them. So it was kind of like that in many respects, very old school and traditional. In Rathlin, you go over, you do a wee bit of stand-up like a traditional storyteller. You're just there, people are listening, it's a good time, then you get absolutely fucked. That's just normally what happens. But yesterday it was a more professional approach. Now, we were told, this is when you realise what things are truthful and what things aren't truthful. Shane Todd had told me we're getting a speedboat to the island, which I went, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Then when we got to Ballycastle, he was like, we're actually just getting the ferry, which is very Shane, because he'll tell you something that sounds great, and then you go to the rate, and I'll be like, oh no. So we got to Ballycastle, myself, Shane, and Aaron Butler, Mr. Butt, if you're on his Tinder, or the Butt Lord, if you're on his grinder. But we went up to Ballycastle, and I don't know if they knew this or not, but when we got to the Ballycastle, we were there a little bit early for this ferry. If it was a speedboat, it would have just waited for us at any time. But we got early, and I said to the boys, we're in Ballycastle, I would like... And Ben, they said this is weird. No one, your take on it. Is this weird? When we got to Ballycastle, I said to them, I would like to go and see my dog's dad. Is that weird? Or...
It depends what context to it. Do you know this person?
No, it's not a person. It's a dog. My dog's dad.
Do you know the owner?
No, well, I met him once. He was the guy that shaved my dog's arsehole for me.
Well, that's totally normal.
So, I think I said to them, listen, my dog's dad's just up the road. I just want to go. And now, people are like, it seems to me like something maybe a man of your age would only do if they had some sort of, lifelong learning difficulty, that they would want to go and see the daddy of their puppy, right? But for me at that time, my logic behind it wasn't just for the sake of it. I wanted to go to see how big my dog was likely to get, because I have my dog now for going on 10 weeks, and he is bigger than me. He walks on his back 2 legs. He's the size of a polar bear. He just eats fish and seals, so he might be a polar bear. So I just thought to myself, you know what, let's go and see his dad just to be sure he will stop growing. That was all I wanted to do. So and the dog is on the sort of other side of Ballycastle. So I was like, let's keep going. Let's keep driving around to see if the dog's dad is there. So we got there, and they were like, where the fuck are you taking us? I said, just carry on around this hill. So they thought I was just making this up, or I may indeed have been on some kind of hallucinogenic drug. But I said, fire on around this hill here, keep going. And then they were like about to turn, be like, oh, miss this ferry. And I said, well, it should have been speedboat anyway, fucker. So, not worry about it. So we went on around, and we eventually saw the place where my dog's dad lived. So I said, just turn in here. And by turn in here, I meant turn the car and go back to the ferry, because I'll be able to look in and see my dog's dad, just to be like, that's a big boy. But Shane went fully into the guy's house, up his drive into the guy's fucking driveway, and all the dogs just started barking. There was Vinny's dad, Vinny's mum, and then just a load of other dogs, and they all came up to the fence, started barking. No doubt the guy who lives in the house was probably putting cartridges in a shotgun to come out and take us out. But I got to have a wee look out and just see, and I was like, yeah, it's a big dog now. Vinny, some kind, I don't know what the term is in terms of dogs, because I don't have a vast knowledge of dogs, just of one dog. But I think Vinny's probably classed as a half caste. because his dad is a very different colour than his mother. You know, his dad is a very sort of gingery dog. You know, he's quite like a, I don't know what you would call that, like shite diarrhea brown, Ben. His dad is. Yeah, and the mum is like just very white, and Vinny would be more white with like a big streak of shit sort of down his back, but darker hair. But it was good to see that eventually he will stop growing unless he's just a big freak. So it was good to see that I was able to go, all right, I'm able to gauge the logistics of having a big dog here. You know, I was able to figure that out. Those two both thought, yeah, I'm on snuff on the way up here. I've been doing stuff. I've been eating soup with magic mushrooms in it, and I'm off my rocker. But it was nice to see, and I felt emotional. You know, I felt like, you know, there's his dad. For some reason, then went really far into my own head and was like, Vinny, if only Vinny was here. You know, they could have had a moment, but then I realised that he's a stupid bastard and wouldn't probably remember who his dad is. Anyway, and I'm his dad now, so you know, wouldn't want to confuse him. But it was a nice time before we went to get the ferry. So we headed down to get the ferry. We met up with the videographer guy, Gareth. He was there, and the first time I met Gareth, he was a good guy. Shout out to Gareth. I met up with Ian, the sound guy from Shine, who just was bringing all these big speakers over to the island. Now, I haven't been on the island before. I was thinking, where's this going to be set up? If it's outside, it'll have to be in a field somewhere, which would be weird. But we got there, and you know, we were greeted as usual in Rathlin by a young man who just picks us up in a Jeep. Like, as soon as we get there, the last time we were there was about 5 years ago, and this young man was about 12 and was in a Jeep waiting for us, and he was like, hop on in here, boys. I myself was like, it's weird that there's a juvenile driving us here. You know, I don't think his feet can hit the pedals. Like, you know, maybe he's got one of those, like, you know, blocks that, like, I mean, I don't know. What's the correct term for people who aren't fully grown, Ben? And by not fully grown, I mean, they are fully grown, but they're not, you know, adult size. I don't want to use like, you know, if I were to call Caitlyn Jenner Bruce Jenner, they say that's dead naming, because no, you know, Caitlyn is now Caitlyn, and to call anyone that's transitioned by their old name is dead naming them. So I don't want to call people, like, you know, Snow White used to hang about with these broads. You know, Snow White had 7 of these guys living in a gaff with her. So, you know, what's the term? Little people. I mean, you know what I was thinking just there? Whenever you said little people, my first reaction was to do this. And I don't know why it was to do that. My point being, I think that phrase is more patronising a phrase than the 7 dudes. We'll call them the fuckboys. Snow White and the 7 fuckboys. You know, I think that term is less offensive than little people. You know, so I don't know why I have the urge to do that. But I thought to myself, he had these planks of wood, right? Because he is. And can you call people who are like, could I call my daughters little people because they are technically small people, or is that offensive to do?
I think it's dwarfism. It's linked those two. So unless that's the height they're going to be, probably not.
So I can't. But if you right, see if my 2 daughters were in this room. One's 3 and one's 9 months old. 9 months old. You would look at them. You wouldn't go, "Oh, they're big people," would you? You go, "They're little people." But you wouldn't be like, you know what I mean? You'd be like, "They're little people, aren't they? They're little girls." Not like little, you know. You get what I'm saying. I'm not akin to the terms, okay? But my point being, the guy was too small a boy without being a little person to be, you know what I mean? In a normal world, not on Rathlin Island, this boy should be nowhere near the wheel of a car, let alone a Jeep, collecting, you know, very expensive luggage, you know. But the good news is, over the years, this young boy has grown. I sound like a pedo. This young boy has grown into a stunning young man. You know, he was a strapping young gentleman. He was able to help Ian off the boat with his speakers and his gear. And by that I mean to do with sound. We weren't staying over, so there was no gear. And it was just good to see. And like, whenever he got off, Shane didn't recognise the guy because Shane is very dismissive of people. I remembered him because I was like, "You were that little person, but not the little you? You're just a small boy. You were last time." And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, and again, you don't want to step on anyone's toes, or you don't want to put your foot in it by saying anything. So like, what in my head I wanted to say to the guy was, "Oh yeah, you're grown up now. Like, you're last time I saw you, you were a wee kid. Now you're, it's good to see it. Didn't recognize you. You've grown up." But what I said was, "Got pubes now, mate." And I mean, I realized in saying that he was kind of like, "What?" And that was more, "Got pubes, mate." That was awkward, Luckily, the guy listens to the podcast and thought I was, trying to flog some more Manscaped gear. Thankfully, he said, "No, use the code Sly Guy, and I don't have pubes, but I can grow them when it gets in the winter and it gets cold in the island. I can grow a wee safety bush for my cock and balls, But it's good to see, somebody who was illegal driving you about, shouldn't have a driving license, now having a driving license, being of age, chauffeuring us about without me feeling like I'm going to die." So that was good. We got to the venue, the bar as usual. Went in, had a wee sit down, looked outside, realised there's a great seating area outside. Lovely warm day just by the port. And then Ian just set up the stand right out the front, and it was a freaking great time. I was there to MC the gig, which is kind of like, just get to use an old, is it Blades of Glory? The sayings in, get the people going. That's what I was there to do. Just get them going, settle them in. Brought on Aaron Butler, he did a good set. Then came on, got the people going again in the second half. Brought Shane on to do his tour show, which it was a good time. It was a good time. It's good now that I've been in Rathlin, I think 5 or 6 times doing stand up, and each time you see the same faces. They welcome you. This time without a hug because of COVID, but they welcome you. They also are like elephants in many respects, in that they remember everything that happened on your previous visit and take the initial 5 minutes of meeting to divulge everything you did when you had about 15 pints of Guinness, 10 shots, Rathlin bombs, and then just loads of short whiskies, and then you end up boking your ring up in the hostel. But they like to bring that up, so quickly when you get there you're like, yeah, cheers for that, can you just carry on? We all set for the day, so that was good. Did a good set. Afterwards, had to have a pint of Rathlin Guinness because it's the best Guinness that there is, bar none. Ben, you're a Guinness man, aren't you? Yeah. You're looking a bit skeptical over there. You're sort of going, I don't know.
There's a place up Rathmullen in the Gall.
Right, okay.
The Beachcomber.
The Beachcomber?
It's pretty good.
That sounds like a kind of a guy that would wear Speedos with dyed blonde hair, and you wouldn't want him near your children, the Beachcomber. But, I mean, this is something that I would like to do, maybe. This is something we could write a note here, because this is going to be your job as producer. You're going to contact Guinness, and you're going to put forward for a small fee us to go around and try the best Guinnesses in Ulster, because Donegal's Ulster, isn't it? So we'll do Ulster. We don't want to say Northern Ireland if we can get into all this shit. In Ulster. So then we can go to the beach pedo or whatever it is you like to go to, and we'll go to Rathlin, and we'll make a day of it. We'll have a good time. Yeah, the best stouts in Ulster. Yeah, let's do that. And we'll just go to those 2 places, and then we'll decide what's better. And it'll be that. So that was good. So then we did the gig, middle of the day. The buzz in you is like, I could literally sit in the sunshine and drink another 10 to 15 of these Guinnesses, but I just had the one because I'm driving and didn't want to be like that little person boy driving, illegally with drink on board. Even though I know the rule, how many units are you allowed when you're driving? Are you supposed to have as above the limit, Ben? Can you check that out for me? Because I think isn't a 5 and drive, so you can have 5 pints and then drive otherwise.
35 micrograms.
Yeah, I think that must be 5 pints. 5. I mean, my dad wouldn't have told me, son, it's 5 and drive. And then I was like, well, 5 what? And then he just, whatever he's drinking. So it could be, 5 bottles of lager.
The average person can drink 2 pints of regular strength lager.
Yeah. But what about physique guys, stoneheads like me? 5? There you go, 5 and drive. There you have it. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be sensible, because let's not forget, I had a car accident a mere 5 weeks ago. I'm still a little bit worried about that. By the way, I just got my car back last week, and I don't know. My wife, I mean, I just think people are often like, this is something, whenever people kick off about like, this is just a wee segue here, I don't into nothing. But when people kick off about like gender equality and stuff, and people are like, oh, it's fucking, we're all the same and all this shit. Yeah. They still expect men to drive, and if you're a man and you don't drive, they make fun of you. Now, my wife loves, well, I say loves, she doesn't like my driving for some reason, because she's just a complaining bitch, alright? She loves to moan about fucking everything I do. So whenever I'm driving, she's like, I don't like the way you drive, I feel sick. Now, the credit where it's due, when she did feel sick, when I was driving, where this all started, was she was secretly pregnant. And by secretly pregnant, I mean with my first child, not like with another one's not mine, because that would be really sly on me. But she was secretly pregnant, when we didn't know she was pregnant, and was just basically having morning sickness and blamed it on my driving, which I thought was really hurtful. Only two people criticised my driving. It's my wife and Shane, who are the two people I love the most, but also the two people I hate the most. So it was tough for me there. So she just then in kind of an argument slash kind of I don't mind this so much because I get the chill, I said, well, you know what? You drive. So ever since then, she's kind of been the main driver in the family. So since we got the car back a week ago, she'd been sort of driving it about, and I had to drive to take with the girls and the dog, basically, because my wife decided, she would go out and drink with her friends, and I was left once again just looking after the family, keeping it together. So I had to drive, and I realised when I was driving that the brake in the car was here, right, Ben? The brake is there in the car, and the clutch is sort of supposed to be in line with the brake, yeah. Like and then you have the accelerator, and they're all sort of in line, so your feet can be like, flop, 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 floppy, floppy, flop. You know what I mean? Floppy, flop, flop, flop. That's kind of a way you flop this way, you flop that way, flop, 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 right? So they're all the same, flopping away. This clutch was here, So these two floppies are here, right? These flopping away, Ben, right? Look at me when I'm flopping, all right? These two are flopping, perfect, and this one's here. So, like, I was like, this doesn't feel right. It's definitely too far in the clutch. So I drove about with it and thought, maybe it's just my driving and this is the way it is, how they fixed it. But I was sitting at traffic lights, and as I was like bringing my foot off the clutch, the car just started jumping forward like and then stalling. I was like, that's not ideal. So we brought the car back today, and the mechanics were like, yeah, it shouldn't be like that. They should all be flopping together, and then he fixed it. So thank fuck for that. The car's fixed. Big shout out to the receptionist in the particular mechanics who my car was being fixed at, because she was, I think, what is effectively known as a total bitch. She was an ignorant, obnoxious, hateful, poor customer service, ass-breeding whore, and I hated her. So hopefully I don't have to go to there again, because if I am, I'll be making a formal complaint about her. I'll be going on TripAdvisor, I'll be going on Twitter, I'll be using my podcast as a platform to bring this woman down. She's on my hit list with a lot of other people, but thankfully the other people involved, not the doop little people, the other people involved in that particular business were gentlemen and gentlewomen and gentle little people. I don't know, I didn't see them all, I just spoke, I can't assume these things, but they were very very civil, and I don't want to judge one establishment based on one bulbous cunt. I'll ignore that and just say the rest was good. But we got the car back. It's nice. I'll be able to drive it again. I'm feeling good. I'm just feeling overall much better. So we're back in Rathlin, right? We're back there. I don't know how I got down that rabbit hole, but we're there. We're back in Rathlin. It's a good time. The gig's over. We've packed up. We want to stay. There's a lot of people there. Ian, the sound man, is being aggressively chatted up, which I love. I don't know about you, Ben, but you don't strike me as the kind of guy that whenever you were single would have been like really into trying to go out pulling. Is that right? You weren't big into that. You didn't like it. And now you wouldn't strike me as the kind of guy that loves the goss. You don't strike me as the kind of guy that loves to go, oh, what's going on? I'm a super bitch, all right? I love it, and I love to see, now I'm married, I love to just sit and watch. I'm a voyeur. I like to just sit and watch people chatting people up, and I especially love it when my friends are getting chatted up by sexy women or men, just sexy people or little people, whatever. We're all sexy, and it was just nice to see this girl really hitting it in, and he's just trying to do his job. And by do his job, I mean he could have probably been quicker at taking the mics and stuff down, and and the speakers, but he was just, you know, the thing with it was he had a speaker, and when his arm was in the speaker, right, it was popping. You know, you could see the separation between the triceps and the biceps. You could just see him really popping. You know, the front deltoid was really popping as well. And this girl's just, you know, she was drinking Guinness, so it could have been foam from the top of the Guinness. But to me, it looked like she was just frothing at the mouth for this guy, and it was just nice to see. You know, she's just there, just like, oh, just the froth just coming out of her mouth. Maybe either that or she was having some sort of seizure, but it was nice to see. Hopefully she's well, and it wasn't hopefully she wasn't just looking at him having a full fit, and he's just going, aye. So I come over to the lads and said, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be able to hear what they're saying and all. And she's just going, hopefully that wasn't the case. Hopefully she was just, you know, the testosterone, the pheromones, and whoa, it was just in the air. It was just love's young dream. It was good to see. Whenever he was going, you know, I'm pretty sure she tried to kiss him. He was being professional. So, you know, I think maybe there was a couple of numbers exchanged. I love to see it. Aaron Butler was there. He was just like the cock of the walk. Like, all the girls were around him. He was loving. He didn't want to go home. He did think about staying, but then there was nowhere to stay on the island. All the accommodation was booked up, and his car was in Belfast, so he'd be kind of fucked and have to just live on the island. And if anybody in the world would just stay on an island and live there forever and pretend it was totally normal and fine, it's Aaron Butler. So we had to sort of save him and bring him back. By this stage, it was like, oh, we can't get the ferry. The ferry's booked up. So you know how we got home, Ben?
Swam.
No, speedboat. Didn't swim. We got the speedboat. Now, a lot of people would question this and say I'm talking shit, but I was once clocked swimming as fast as a speedboat. You can believe that, or you can say I'm talking shit, but have you ever seen the movie Don't Mess with the Zohan?
Yeah.
That's the swimming technique I utilised, and that's the speed I can swim. So I would have swam, but then it would have been very sweaty and stuff, and also wet out the other side, and I had a bag with me and had like my stand-up notes, and I had to change the t-shirt and just be silly. So we got a lift home with a guy. I think he was called either Tim, James, or Jim, so it could have been one of the three. We were on a speedboat. It was very loud, couldn't hear it, but this guy was, I mean, in the most polite and the most endearing way, a complete and utter fucking maniac. This guy was insane, you know. He was basically sent us, right, when he got us, he collected us at 6, and he was like, I need to get over here to Ballycastle. And I was like, well, no fucking shit, we need to get there too, so please do. And he goes, oh, but I need to be there about 6:30 to make sure I can get an Indian takeout for my dinner. We're like, okay, nice one. That all the boy wanted was some pilau rice and some naan. Like, yeah, that's all the guy wanted. A bit of korma, some butter chicken. Could give a fuck about us. So he's pedal to the metal. Then the problem was, because he was driving the speedboat, we were in the back, we couldn't entirely hear what he was saying. So I thought what he shouted back and said to us was, do you want to see some waves, boys? And what he actually said was, don't mean to wake it into 5th, boys. And we went, yeah. And he just fucking, the boat went up at the back. I'm at the back of the boat, so the boat was very low in the water. I could feel the shock of my arse in the waves. Shit myself. Never has 4 boys made more high-pitched a noise than myself, Shane, Butler, and cameraman Gareth. Now, obviously, sound guy Ian was just holding on to the seats, and just by this point, you know, the forearms were popping. It was like, you know, when Schwarzenegger does the side chest pose, he's fucking the forearms. Ian was just pumping on the I was gonna say pumping on the boat, but that'd be really inappropriate. He's riding the boat. Oh yeah, like, you know, maybe he's just bringing that same energy that he had when he was chatting up the girl that was having the seizure, and just really bringing that on the boat. But it was a good journey back. Very frightening whenever he brought up the 5th gear and started going against the waves. But initially we were going with the tide. It was fine. It was smooth. It was nice. Then he went against the waves. Terrifying. But we made it home, thankfully. And it was just a good time. I eventually got home exhausted, blisters on my feet from walking, and just was like driving home. You know when you've had a long day, Ben, you're driving. Sometimes you're like, you see the wee like verge in the road, and you can like see in between the wee bits, the bollards, is it? I know the middle section, the dual carriageway, whatever it's called. There's like we fucking, I don't know, who gives a fuck, we blocks in it. So when I was driving, I could just see the light flickering through it, and I was like really like relaxing. So I did along the kind of Sydenham bypass, fall asleep a little bit driving home, but it's okay because I've driven that road so many times. The natural muscle memory and autopilot allowed me to drive from the Oval to Tesco's and Knocknagonie and just know the turns in the road. It was fine. So eventually got there. I was just so tired. I was coming into my drive. You know that feeling you get where you've been in the sun too long. You're tired. You're cozy. You just would like to have a wee shower, go to bed. As soon as I got in, my wife was like, I've got my pajamas on. Will you take the dog out a walk? He needs to walk. If he doesn't get 2 walks a day, he's going to die. Remember your goldfish died last week? I was like, wow, that is a lot of information to take in a heartbeat. Also sly that you brought up that my goldfish died. Did I talk about my goldfish dying in the podcast? No. Horrendous. My goldfish, Gaston. I say goldfish. He's a fancy goldfish. I have 2 fancy goldfish, Simon and Gaston. Unfortunately, you know what else is so fucking sly and heartless? My wife goes to me, Dave! And I went, yeah, I don't know why she's a man from Ballymena. Dave! Come into the kitchen, I need you. No, she goes, Dave, quick! As I come in, she's like, the goldfish is dead. I was like, what the fuck's that funny? She's like, the funny thing is, I meant to tell you last night he didn't look well, and I thought you could have done something to save him, but look, he's dead. And I was like, is he floating in the tank? And she was like, oh no, he's upside down, but at the bottom. I was like, well, is he dead? And I looked at him, and God love him, like he's a goldfish, but he's like a speckled goldfish, so he's mostly white, but with a wee bit of orange on him. You know, it's kind of like us all around this time of year. We're white with a bit of orange. And we just looked, and I could just see like blackness inside. So like he had died, and his organs had just shut off. His eyes were like, you know, the Undertaker. He was lying there like, rest. And I was like, oh fuck, what did I do? And I just felt so guilty that I killed him, because like I am the guy that looks after the goldfish, and I pride myself in the goldfish. I'm actually the only one in the house that feeds the goldfish. I'm the only one that cleans the goldfish tank. So for me, I just felt all my responsibility. And poor Gaston's dead, so had to do, you know, what anyone would do when they lose a loved one, and respectfully, you know, dispose of the body in a manner that we could remember him, and you know, he's part of the family. We could keep him close to us. So I went into the tank and I reached out his wee body and put him in a piece of kitchen roll and sort of dried him out a bit, and then kind of just folded it up and put it in a sandwich bag and fucked him in the bin. But it was still sad, and that whole day I had to go out and do stuff, and I just felt guilty about the fact that my wee fucking goldfish was dead. And then I started thinking about Simon. I was like, fuck, Simon's not going to have his mate Gaston anymore. What can I do? How am I going to explain it to my kids? You know, where's Gaston gone? So I just, basically what I did was on the way home from work, went to the same aquarium is it an aquarium? I don't know what they call it where you buy goldfish. Is it an aquarium a place where you go see them? Is it an aquarium? I don't care. I went to this place in a garden. I mean, of all places, in a garden centre, you know, on the way to Crawfordsburn. There's that Dixon's Garden Centre. I went in there. There's an aquarium in there, we'll call it. Or a solarium, even though I think that's where I go and get suntanned. But went in there, and I just had to go into the guy and be like, listen. I went in and he just went, you know, like David Bowie's wife and Big Brother, when she was like, David's dead. And they thought it was David Guest. I went into the aquarium, was like, Gaston's dead. And then some fella was like, are you alright, mate? And I was like, Gaston's dead. And he goes, who's Gaston? And I was like, oh, it's my fish. Thought you'd remembered. But whatever. So then this young guy brought me into the aquarium, and I had to look. And now, what I realised, Gaston and Simon Gaston were not just regular goldfish. They were fancy goldfish. That's what they're actually called, fancy goldfish. Now, they're a different shape than a regular goldfish, a fancy goldfish, and they're a little bit more expensive. And by a little bit more expensive, it's like £7 instead of £4. You know, it's not like I'm spending $1,000 on a big flipping koi or something. You know, it's just £7. But I had to go, and I, like a loser, spent my time being like, there's 2 ways I could have done it. I could have been very straight and honest and told my 3-year-old daughter who loves these fish, Simon's just fucking kicked the bucket. We got a new one. Say hello to Gary. It should have been this, probably just another fish. Would have been like, I'm fucking Gary. Ooh. But I just went, you know what? I'm going to do what any parent would do. I'm going to pretend the fish has not died, and I'm going to buy one that looks just the same. So I said to the guy, I need this one. Now, the guy, in his credit, working there, was like, I wouldn't take that one, mate. And I went, why? And he goes, he's looking a bit like he might die. And I went, I don't care. If he dies, he dies. I'll be able to figure out how to explain it. Give me him. So he fished him out. I took him. Then I ended up chatting a bit more about the death of Gaston. And he was kind of like, what do you know, there's a variation of reasons that can cause the death of fancy goldfish. And I was like, what are those reasons? He goes, well, fancy goldfish are dirty bastards, was what he said. I went, okay. And he goes, they need cleaned quite regularly because they do shit more than regular goldfish. I went, right, okay. And he goes, how often would you clean the tank? And I was like, maybe once a month. He goes, at least once a week. And I went, okay, that's not good for Gaston. Could be one reason. He said, what are you feeding him? And I went, well, I kind of just give him, like, what's left on my plate. So, like, rice or bits of pasta. And he goes, you need to feed it goldfish food. And I went, okay. And I was like, I was just joking there. I do actually feed them goldfish food. And he goes, regular goldfish food? And then he looked at me like this. And I went, yeah, regular goldfish food. He goes, you need to feed them fancy goldfish food. Regular goldfish food's bad for the wee tummies and could kill them. And then he goes, how long have you been feeding them regular goldfish food for? And I went, since the day I bought them in here, mate. And he went, okay, that's a problem. How long have you had them? A year. And he's like, right, you need to buy fancy goldfish food. So I did. You know how much that cost me? 15 quid for fucking fancy goldfish food. Fucking, I could have bought 2 fancy goldfish for the price it was to buy their food. And they come in like, like a protein supplement, like a fat burner jar. So I need to make sure I don't be just giving the guys fat burners. That'll be a classic me and a mug off. So I got that. Then I ended up the guy was just in fucking hard sale mode. He was like, do you have a filter in your tank, mate? And I went, yeah, dude. He goes, what type? And I went, I don't know. It just kind of came with the bowl. And he goes, how much did the bowl cost? And I was like, 3 quid. And he goes, oh no, that's a problem. He's like, you need to buy this filter. This is a pretty good filter. And I'm thinking, okay, if the whole bowl, 3 quid, this filter's probably a fiver. How much is that? He's like, 29 quid. I was like, I can't have another fucking family member die. Give me the filter. Bought the filter for 29 quid. And then just in like a final thing, he goes to me, and this is the weirdest thing anyone's ever said to me. He goes, do you have a hoover for the wee gravel and all? And I was like, well, I just have a shark hoover, like. And he goes, no, dickhead. And I was like, by this stage, I don't mind you telling me that feeding them goldfish food is shit. That language is fine. But to go, you're a dickhead. I was like, right, too far. We're not that familiar. Just call me sir, all right? He goes, yeah, you get this thing. And I was like, right, okay. How does it work? Because there was no, like, pump on it. So I was like, how do it work? And he goes, and, like, never has a man looked at me and done this motion and been so genuine. He goes, you take it. He goes, you put it in the water like this. And then you do this motion. And then it forms a suction. And you fucking hover it over the gravel. And it sucks all the shade out of the stones and all fucking spunk and all the wee fish do. I was like, all right, mate, can I just buy it and leave here because you're freaking me out? And he, absolutely. So he gave me the new fish, which I didn't want to call it Gaston because I thought it was disrespectful to the memory of the original Gaston. So you know what I called him? Gaspard. So it's now Simon and Gaspard. And Gaspard, to be fair, is bigger than Simon. Like, I was worried about Gaston at the start because when we both got them, they're both the same size. But now, Simon clearly ate all the goldfish food and Gaston just died. R.I.P. So, it was a good lesson to learn. And, yeah, I love the guys. Ben, how long have we been talking for? I feel like I've been talking a long time here. I got into this.
Like 35 minutes.
Happy days. Just, what do I have to promote? Oh, yes, by the way, Pugs Comedy Club will have happened by the time you listen to this. We're doing a gig in the Boneyard this Wednesday, so it will have been myself, Diona Doherty, Colin Geddes, and Aaron McCann. And I'm sure it'll be a nice time because the Boneyard's a good place and it's a lot of fun. So hopefully you enjoy that. Now, if you want to come to another gig, the Boneyard have decided, they said, listen, we want to do more comedy. We want to have another gig. We want to have another gig. And I said, the end of July. And they went, no, next week. Would you like to do it? And I said, absolutely would. And they go, who do you want on? And I said, ooh, I would like Mickey Bartlett and Vittorio Angeloni. And they went, okay, you can have that. So we booked it. So it's going to be myself, Vittorio Angeloni, and Mickey Bartlett next Wednesday, the 7th of July, in the Boneyard. Tickets are live now. When you see this, they're live. They may have been sold out because the last show sold out quicker than any other show has sold out in the history of Boneyard. It sold out, I think, within an hour, which was unbelievable. And so if you want tickets to this, if it's still available, if you're listening to this on my Patreon, which would be on Wednesday, get tickets because you might be getting the last ones. If you're listening to this on regular, just good luck to you. But they sell tickets in tables of 4 and potentially tables of 6. So get there, let's come, let's have a laugh. Obviously, Mickey Bartlett, sensational stand-up comedian. Vittorio Angeloni is a great stand-up as well. I've been really enjoying what he's been doing. I've seen a lot of his sets recently, and I think you're going to be in for a really good time. So get the tickets to that, and then I'll be there, and I'll probably be talking about my fucking dead fish still, and still Rathlin. So I mean, who cares? Come along, have a nice time. It'll be all good, and there will definitely be more events coming in the sort of end of July. Now, is that because I'm going on holidays? Yes, probably. There probably could be more over July, but I think a lot of the owners were kind of like, listen, we could do a gig the following week on the 12th of July, and I said probably not a good day for that. You know, a lot of people will be in a field as adults dressed as, you know, flamboyantly camp Dutchmen, which is each to their own and all, but I don't need that vibe in the comedy club. Be hard to manage. Plus, I'm also on my holidays. Let's not do it. So there will be something at the end of July. So if you want to know more about that, follow Pugs Comedy Club's Instagram. That's where they put all the gigs and stuff. And all the links and stuff are through there. So go there, and it'll be a nice time. Let me just see what else I need to promote, actually. Yes, Patreon. Ben, what dates do we agree that the Champions League Weird's going out? 23rd of July, maybe? Am I right in thinking? You're the man that... You look like right there, like a man that has never thought before. And I was like, what date's that? And you sound like this. You know? It's like the man that's never thought. I think the 23rd... Anyway, the end of July. And you know how we know what's happening, Ben? Because we're doing it, and we're recording it on tomorrow, basically. We're filming it tomorrow, and it's going to be there on the 23rd of July.
Yep.
And the man that has thought before, and the man that remembered. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And we're also filming a little something for our sponsors, Bebe Adrianos. So that'll be a nice time for us as well. Since we're talking about Bebe Adrianos, should we just do the sponsor read now, Ben? We'll come back to Patreon, Ulster Hall, and all that other shit. The Sly Guy podcast is delighted, as usual, to be brought to you by Bebe Adrianos. Now, you'll probably be going, as usual, Dave, you weren't last week. Yes, because we hadn't been able to touch base with our friends at Bebe's for a while. And is that because I was busy with work, or Bebe's were just flat out partying for June? Could have been either. But what I'm saying, it's a good time. We're glad to have them back on board. Not only that, but did you know, Ben, Bebe's won an award this week? They actually won an award. In fact, last week it was. And what I'm doing now is called the act of stalling, because I don't actually have what the award was written down, but I can actually find it, okay? So the award that they won was the highly commended award for Best Healthy Takeaway at the NI Takeaway Awards. So what that means is not only is their food delicious, it's also nutritious. And is there anything more important than nutritious meals, Ben, when you're a physique guy, hike beast, sex party boy? I mean, that's not something that I've called myself before, but hey, it'll probably take off as well. So yeah, Bebe Adrianos is a multi-award winning burrito bar in the High Street in Bangor, North Down. We like our sponsors to be local. We like Modest to be from Hollywood. We like Bebe Adrianos to be from Bangor, and we like Manscaped to be from Hollywood, albeit with the 2 L's in the United States, where all the guys have no pubes, but it's great. Bebe Adrianos has burrito bowls, fajitas, burrito bowls, and burritos, fajitas as well. They also can do you a salad. You can choose from any of the fillings. You got vegetarian, chili con carne, chicken, beef, pulled pork, and they've got the delicious sweet corn tomato salsa verde or habanero salsa to go with that as well. Bebe Adrianos, you know what they're famous for, Ben, as well as delicious food? Box meals, and they have a delicious range of box meals. Their trademark dirt box is half chips, half rice, chicken, chili con carne, beef, pulled pork, I'm getting hungry now, peppers, onions, tomato salsa, sweet corn salsa, and a cheese and sauces of your choice. And of course, Ben's favourite thing in the world, a dirty cock. Sorry, I need to swallow there. And cow box, marinated steak, Mexican chicken, fries, sweet potato fries, peppers, onions, tomato, corn salsa, lettuce with the sauce of your choice. And you know what I put on every time? The sweet smoked paprika. Delicious. For 10% off your first order, just download the Bebe Adrianos app or call 02891479988. That's 02891479988 to get a big fat burrito on your plate. Go to Bebe Adrianos, tell them Davey sent you, and fucking whack your lips around a dirty cock and cow box. Manscaped are back on board. I said this last week. We weren't sure where we were at with that. Manscaped have been in touch. We have signed a long-term deal, Ben, with Manscaped to lead us through to the new year. And Manscaped love us, and we love them. And you'll be pleased to know that the Euros are all about bragging rights and showing pride for your country's squad. With help of today's sponsor, Manscaped, you will definitely be showing pride in your squad. And by squad, I mean your penis, balls, and taint and gooch. because Manscaped can trim up your personal pitch without fear of whacking your bollocks. Now, could they have probably used a better term than whacking your bollocks? Maybe, fouling your bollocks, maybe taking your bollocks offside, a more football related pun, yes, but unlock confidence and join the movement with the exclusive offer for you. That's 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code all capitals, SlyGuy at manscaped.com. That is SlyGuy at manscaped.com. Ben, the Euros to you, what are they? Well, how would you describe the Euros?
Fun.
Fun? Are they fun for all the family, would you say? Fun for all the family and fun for your friends?
Yeah.
Yes, they're fun for the family, fun for your friends. And you know what else is fun for all your family and fun for your friends? Trimming your pubic hair together. Nothing brings a family together more than trimming your pubic hair, apart from maybe a football tournament. So why just stop at football? Let's get pubic grooming together. Let's make it into a game of some sort of fantasy football type pubic shaving game going on with your granddad, your dad, your brother, your kid. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Shave your pubes. And Manscaped is just changing the way men approach grooming their penis. So their Performance Package 3.0. This bundle includes a Lawnmower 3.0, the Weed Whacker, Performance Boxer Briefs, a travel kit, and formulations to help you upgrade your grooming game. Now, once again, Manscaped, I'm open to helping you with some better, writing for some of this, but the Lawnmower 3.0 is the John Terry of dong defense. Now, John Terry's been retired for about 7 years, but I get what they're trying to say. It's a solid defender. I'd have said Ruben Diaz, but he's player of the year, whatever. But what I would say is, if you're saying something is the John Terry of something, it means it's most likely to fuck your best friend's wife. So be careful that this doesn't get near your best friend's wife unless she's got a big muff and it needs to get trimmed. But Manscaped are all about trimming your pubes, and they are what's happening. Guys, if you want 20% off of free worldwide shipping, use the code SlyGuy at manscaped.com. That's SlyGuy at manscaped.com. I like this one. It makes no sense. It's time to add a few inches to your Harry Kane with Manscaped. Now, that's false advertising, because it may make your penis look bigger, but it's not actually going to elongate your cock. It's going to, by reducing the pubes, it'll make it look longer. It doesn't guarantee it actually gets bigger. And if my dick looked like Harry Kane, it would probably actually be uglier than it actually is at the minute and spit a lot more. But hey, get Manscaped. Get 20% off. SlyGuy.com. And the Sly Guy podcast is always brought to you by the original sponsor, Modest Beer. Modest are an independent brewery crafting small batch beers for discerning drinkers. Brewed and canned right here in Hollywood, County Down, where we record the podcast. Modest are on a journey with one clear goal in mind, and that's to just give you fucking nice beers and shit. That's literally it. They're not here to revolutionize the market, even though they probably could, because their beers are actually delicious. Ben's a fan. I'm a fan. What else is there to say apart from check out Modest Beer on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Modest Beer, or visit the website modestbeer.co.uk to find your nearest stockist. Yum yum and my Tom Tom. What great sponsors, Ben. Aren't we so grateful? Yeah. We're so fucking grateful for you guys. Grateful for you, Bebe. Grateful for you, Manscaped. Grateful for you, Modest. And I started this podcast being unable to speak. I'm back to not being able to speak again. Up the sponsor hoods. Let's blast through these listener questions. But before we do subscribe to Patreon. I meant to say that before, but I got into the sponsors. The Champions League of Weird is coming. There's going to be some other stuff up there. Also, because I'm going away on holidays, you get to ask me questions for the next couple of episodes that you won't otherwise, and they're going to still be out here. It's going to be a great time. Do that, and still there are tickets left in my show at Ulster Hall. Stand Up is back. I am enjoying it, and the show is going to be a really good time. So please, Ben, stick up a wee logo for our seats are at, where you? This is at Ulster Hall. And then could you put a link along the bottom of where to get tickets to my Ulster Hall show? Like, Ben, look, put it right here. So see, this is where you get it. And then also right underneath that, Ben, right on the link in Dave's social media bios. I wanted to say Ulster Hall website, link in Dave's media bios, social media bios, not my media bios, because I've been silenced by the news. I am barred. I am fake news apparently, but who gives a fuck about that? Get your tickets. It's going to be a really good time. And listeners' questions. Wow. Sam Cardosi has said, Big Papa, which is a great way to greet me. If you were made First Minister of NI, what would be the first order of business? My first order of business would be every politician needs to get 20% off manscaped.com by using my code SLYGUY. So all the politicians, Sammy Wilsons of the world, or the Sammy Wilsons, if you were doing a Manscaped read, the Jim Wells, who I know actually has bought 20% off Manscaped from me, would just all have to shave their pubes. I think that'd be great banter, wouldn't it? What's happened? You look like you ejaculated there. This is literally Ben's face. I was looking at him. I went. Jim Wells has shaved his pubes, and you just went, oh, like. So this is what I see, right? You say Jim Wells has shaved his pubes, right?
Jim Wells has shaved his pubes.
Ooh, what a scorcher! That's what it looked like to me. And I mean, listen, Jim Wells, unblock me on Twitter, you fucking spoil sport. But yeah, that would be my first order of business. I would also, in fact, speaking of the government at the minute, I would just say my first order of business is you can't collapse the executive over a load of shite. Business is important. Now, a lot of people, myself included, were really getting into Pootsy, being like fucking Paul Given, whatever. Fair play for Poots. He put himself on the line. He nominated a first minister, so there is an executive at the minute, which I think is more important than, complaining about silly things. And due to that, they've got the organ donation soft tissue opt-out clause in now. It's going to be made into legislation, which is great, and will save lives. So saving lives is more important than, the blame game. Nothing against Tim McGarry, good friend of mine, but the actual, they said this, they said that. Get together, work as a team, save people's lives and make the country better, and then worry about all the silly stuff, down the line. Bicker about that after, things are sorted. And all this border in the sea, if you're going to have a border in the sea, you got to, make sure that the rules are the same here as they are there anyway, So, is there something wrong there?
Bit of bad static coming through.
Oh no, do you want me to fix it? Is that better? Oh no, there's a tech issue. We had some technical difficulties there. I started talking about an Irish sea border, and Jamie Bryson has put some sort of filtering device into my speaker and ruined the sound. So we'll blast through this to make sure the sound isn't shit. John Joe said, do you have any chance of some fucking stringers? Fuck's sake. Ben, we're going to get on the stringers once we get the Patreon stuff sorted, aren't we? We'll figure that out. We'll get it sorted. Naomi has sent me a story about a woman shagging a dolphin. I love it. But yeah, it's not perverted to be married to a dolphin. Hey, guess what? Newsflash, it is. And again, I would donate more time to this answer if there wasn't sound issues here. Dion Core said, would I ever do a set at the pavilion again? I mean, I don't know what's that in reference to, but, there are positives and negatives. Yes, I would, because it's not a bad spot, but then, I wouldn't be dying to because there's other places to do it that are more fun. Hey. But I'm not against it. But guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Please rate and review if you haven't on Apple Podcasts. Get yourselves subscribed to the fucking YouTube. Share the video out there and let's have a good time. See you next week on Patreon or whatever. Peace.
I'm the sly guy.